body is a master at adaptation. Whether positive or negative, when your body is placed in a certain circumstance, it will do its best to adapt to this situation. In this day and age, one of the major stresses placed upon your body are long hours of sitting, usually even more than 8 to 10 hours per day. Now, your body's adaptation to sitting is shortening the resting length of your hip muscles. The exact reason why your body does this is beyond the scope of this lesson, but what's important to understand is that your body will shorten the resting length of your hip muscles after long hours of sitting. The problem with a shorter resting length of your hip muscles is that when you want to do a movement or an exercise that does not require sitting, your muscle balance will be compromised and your muscle power will also be compromised because your muscle will be put in a disadvantageous position. So the common solution to this problem is stretching. We all love stretching. Now, there are different forms of stretching. You have passive stretching, active stretching, dynamic stretching, static stretching, ballistic stretching, and you even have subcategories to these main categories. The form of stretching that we will be covering in this lesson is the stretching that will most effectively and efficiently restore your active range of control and your muscles' resting length. If you want adaptation, you have to create need. The original need was the long hours of sitting, and now you have to create a new need to reverse that effect. And a need for the body is stress. Me and you speak English, your body speaks stress. If you apply a stress to your body, it will try to adapt and change something. Creating stress in the desired position is the fastest way to restore muscle balance and to restore active control over your entire range of motion. Applying this theory of applying stress at the opposite end of the previous stress that was applied is rather simple. The key is to build tension when the hip muscles are in a long position. So step 1 will be getting your hip muscles into a long position. You will do this by getting into a 90-90 stance, where your back thigh will be perpendicular to the ground and your front thigh will be parallel to the ground. Then you will tuck your hip, bringing your hip bone closer to your shoulder and farther away from your thigh. This will increase the space between the origin and insertion, or beginning and end, of the muscle we are targeting to stretch. There are 2 options for applying additional stress. The first one is simply by contracting the opposing muscle, which in this case means squeezing your butt. The second option is to squeeze all of the muscles in your entire body to create full body tension. The second option is more productive, but also more fatiguing. You can also practice contract-relax methods from this position by contracting your butt for 10 to 20 seconds and then relaxing for 30 seconds to a minute. By lifting your arm and slightly shifting your hips, you can also intensify the stretch a little bit. Keep in mind that the science regarding the exact timing of the total stretch, the individual contractions, and the direction of the contractions is still not completely understood. This gives you room to experiment with what works best for you to restore or increase your muscle length and control. Also note that stretching is a stress. In fact, muscles show greater neural activity when they are being stretched than when they are being contracted. So stretching can be overdone just as any other form of exercise. There are many misconceptions in regards to hip stretching, and I will not cover all the ways this stretch can be done wrong. So to simplify things, I will assume that you trust my recommendations, and I will suggest completing the stretch exactly how I have demonstrated.